I like to have this silence in the crowd. That's really awesome. I'm just being a goofball. I think this is the first time I've ever had a feature that says, no, I would like all of the money that's going to be going toward me to actually be donated for a school, for a Honduras. And it's like, what? You're going to be doing it? I'm sorry, that sounds really cool to me. I'm sorry. Why am I going on this angle? Either way, I really like to hear him when he comes up here to perform. So ladies and gentlemen, now I have to be all mellow because we're all quiet. Please, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up for a phenomenal feature this evening from Jerry Pendergast.
Actually, there are Republicans that I support, but they don't live in Illinois. Woody Guthrie's birthday was just a couple of days ago. This is called Open Letter to Woody Guthrie. You sang, what were their names to a crew of a ship imperiled? The Reuben James escaped. Your song eased some tension. The radio voice said they were just deportees. You wrote, chanted, four nombres that came to mind for the farm workers hurled from the DC-3 at Los Gatos Canyon. You were right with three, close with one. Senors Rascon y Hernandez found the names, fixed spelling of names, found Jaime Ramirez, Lance Canales, raised money with concerts, bake sales for a new stone with the names St. Isidore and Falling Leaves. If you could perform at the Labor Day dedication, would you have written a new verse? Maybe Arlo will someday. He loves to stretch sounds out anyway. With a voice as clear as possible, with hands that once worked fields, alone and with other hard travelers, you strummed and sang many years open to voices and hands often ignored until your voice and hands failed you. This is called An Owl Crashed into a Cat. It's in 6 parts. It's related to Woody Guthrie, one of the songs I mentioned, song Deportee. It's in 6 parts, and during part 6 I will have compañero Mario Castro come and read part of it with me. Mario is from El Salvador, a country that was nameless to many North Americans until the 1980s. And then it was seen as part of Europe by many Republicans and a few Democrats, unfortunately. The Owl That Crashed into the Cat, Part 1. El Tecolote, a metal owl, DC-3, flying over California, a place that borders have crossed. Burns, engine explodes, throws 32 bodies, luggage, a wing in all directions at Los Gatos Canyon, 20 miles west of Coalinga, edge of Diablo Ridge. Radio reports gave names of the pilot, his wife, stewardess, first officer, immigration officer, called the rest just deportees. Late January 1948. Mexican National said Holy Cross Cemetery Register, numbered 1 through 28, a granite stone on their mass grave, called them 28 Mexican citizens. Part 2. I'm looking for the names, said Tim Hernandez, holding the phone, and a hand that picked crops in youth, like his parents and grandparents, that now types poems and stories. I have the names, answered Carlos Rascon. Fresno Diocese, Director of Cemeteries, Braccaro's son-in-law. Part 3. Grandfather, uncle, I am here, said Jaime Ramirez, standing in front of the oak tree, hit split by burning metal. Hat in hand, that washed dishes to live, then filled out forms as a restaurant manager, then owner, that turned many pages of records to find the mass grave at Holy Cross Cemetery. Hernandez sprinkled tobacco and sage, joined him, a few lines of Woody's song in his head, their heads slightly bowed, hands greeting a leafless tree, a ravine, and a presence not physically touchable. Part 4. San Isidro, or Isidore, in the center, flanked by the names of 28 farm workers and images of falling leaves, are etched on a new stone dedicated Labor Day 2013. Songs, prayers, birds flying. Part 5. I wonder, were any birds near the burning DC-3 that January morning in 1948? Did they escape? Did they return? Part 6. Compañero Mario Castro, please join me. Senor Castro is a soldier from El Salvador, community organizer in Chicago and in his native country. Part 6. I could print the 28 names in 1 minute on my computer, but I have hand printed them because it took much more time to find the names and fix the spellings.
Miguel Negrete Álvarez, Tomás Aviña de Gracia, Francisco Llamas Durán, Santiago García Elizondo, Rosalío Padilla Estrada, Tomás Padilla Márquez, Bernabé López García.
Because it takes much longer to organize and conduct bake sales, concerts, to bake the pastries, rehearse and perform the music, to raise the money, inform the families, I have hand-printed their names.
Salvador Sandoval Hernández, Severo Medina Lara, Elías Trujillo Macías, José Rodríguez Macías, Luis López Medina, Manuel Calderón Merino, Luis Cuevas Miranda.
Because it takes much longer to plant, to harvest, I have hand-printed their names. Because it takes much longer than 1 minute to construct a monument, I have hand-printed their names.
Martín Razo Navarro, Ignacio Pérez Navarro, Román Ochoa Ochoa, Ramón Paredes González, Guadalupe Ramírez Lara, Apolonio Ramírez Plasencia, Alberto Carlos Raigosa.
Because the exploding engine tossed bodies and belongings in all directions, I have printed them on 4 pages.
Guadalupe Hernández Rodríguez, María Santana Rodríguez, Juan Valenzuela Ruiz, Wenceslao Flores Ruiz, José Valdivia Sánchez, Jesús Mesa Santos, Baldomero Marcas Torres.
Compañero Mario Castro.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mario. With an acute, with an obtuse, with a right angle eye size, up your accent. If that pot won't melt, I will surely use it for cooking. If the mix blends well, I will surely serve some plates full. Do I accent the right spices, the right syllable, use the correct word, play the correct notes, intensify the correct beat? Or does it change with the recipe, the climate, the altitude? Does it change with a score, content of the conversation, the mood? Do I shade the village portrait the correct hues? Or does it change each time we look around? Should we add an instrument, expand a phrase, slow or accelerate the rhythm? Does it change with the mood, the atmospheric pressure? If the mix blends well, I will surely study the portrait, listen, dance, talk with you a little longer. I'm another Robert Burns in terms of modesty. He wrote himself a birthday poem called Rovan Rantan Robin. This is called Born in Chicago, 1955. Post-war, pre-war, Cold War baby. Post-Arbanes, Musade. Post-Korea, pre-Castro, Bay of Pigs, Vietnam. You slide, crawl on the rug, grab a stuffed rabbit. A game on the radio, a three-letter man, twice all-American. He flies out the center. Pureed plums on your chin. You bang your hands on your tray. Your brother, your sister, out the door to a movie, to a birthday party. Post-war, pre-war, Cold War baby. Voices on the radio, cursing un-Americans. Daily news on the kitchen table. Sports section open. Your father cursing another Yankee pennant. Takes tiny spoon, scoops plum from your chin. Tells you good stuff. Your cousin stops by, 4 years from a draft notice. You hold up your stuffed rabbit. Your cousin rubs your head, asks, "Who's that?" You try to say, "Ricky." Post-war, pre-war, Cold War baby. Door opens, closes, across the hall. Dan coming home from flipping burgers, dipping fries at John's, pulling them out of crisp, golden brown. Post-war, pre-war, Cold War baby. Post-bop, pre-fusion, a dog outside howling. You stir in your crib. Is that dog answering a slow, intense horn from a Clark Street lounge? The one with "Bird Lives" magic markered in the washroom. "Bird Lives" painted on the garage door across the alley from your bedroom window. Muddy Waters, Bo Diddley, Howlin' Wolf, rock the nighttime. Post-war, pre-war, Cold War baby. You're building half your block 10 or 12 years from a bulldozer. Pre-regentrification baby. James Dean accelerates, becomes a blur. Crashes with turnip seed. Steering wheel stabs him. You pull on your crib at bars. Start to rise, slip down. Post-war, pre-war, Cold War baby. Well, the 4th of July weekend was a while ago, but there are still a lot of cars out on the road, so here's a cautionary tale. It's called Highway Poem. 2 lanes, late afternoon, fog forming, flatlands turning to slopes, deer crossing signs. That should read, deer crossing signs. No crossing guards for them, I say to an imaginary passenger. Foggy dusk, I slow down. Just a shadow? Or was it, looked for a second, like a legendary lost woman, lived in a town nearby. I heard her height and hair color changed with the decades. As I said earlier, there are Republicans I support, but they not only don't live in Illinois, they don't live in the USA among us. A people. Some of the counties they live in are Derry, Down, Donegal, Tyrone, Fermanagh. This is called our drum, and it is about 3 types of drums, and I will name the type of drum and type of music it is usually used for. Part 1, lambic drum, used primarily at marches conducted by the Ku Klux, I'm sorry, I don't want to offend anybody. The Royal Orange Order. Our drum echoes, reverberates through your streets. We march with sashes across our chests. We chant and sing, protected by constables. The beat saturating your block and others nearby. Part 2, Bahrain drum, used for traditional Irish and Islamic types of music. Our drum is light, handheld, flexible, with a small wood tipper or fingers. I can scatter the notes, change the tempo or volume quickly. I can play it on the run, can easily hide it if you make it illegal again. Part 3, buckets, Chicago trio of African American youth. Our drums, hard plastic. We hold them with our legs, our hands tapping together or soloing, sometimes different beats, sometimes the same. We can flip them up. Now they're just buckets. If we get enough tips, maybe we can buy that license. How are we on time here?
How are you on time? Well, you're a little over, but we love you, so if you're like tomorrow, we're all good.
It's like that song, one more song. Right. Okay. I know your temple was flexed, your finger next to your ear when you spoke, then stopped. I check an impulse to complete the sentence. I walk with the words I imagined you were looking for. Should I ask if my guess is accurate, or should I assume? I know your temple, your mosque, your church can be comfort, can cause further anxiety, can question, can give answers that exalt, that condemn. I press my thumb against each fingertip. Wonder how many of us remember. This is how we got our tools, our structures, our ability to change patterns. Thank you.
Busy hugging his audience. Oh my God, that's awesome! I had no idea that was the last one. I really didn't. That was awesome. And I don't even have my list of future features. But I was going to say, I didn't get to say this before. By the way, this is a great combination because we start with talking about politics and Nazism, and we go to talking about politics for our feature, and I'm like, I love hearing all these different views, and yes, they're all very, very different, and we can all pull something from each of them, and that's really awesome, and that's really cool to hear, and then people can espouse their views, and I think that's really, really awesome, and I wanted to thank you all for that, and because I usually say this, usually right after Joffrey is up here, I have to say, yeah, I got you laughing, but because we like to be able to monitor like the NSA does, I've been monitoring everything you've done with these video cameras. You see us with the crazy video camera stuff. So we have been able to record the open mic as well as the feature, which means that podcast as well as YouTube clips for the feature as well as the open mic will be available online. And if you want to know anything about this podcast or any past podcasts, you can go to iTunes and blah blah blah, I'm sure, or you can also go to the website for this site, which is www.chaoticarts.org/thecafe. Get a whole detailed listing, and I still don't have that list there, that's way over there, but I'm going to try to remember some features, because all of the features now that are the last one of the month, which means 2 weeks from now would be the last one of the month, will actually be starting at 9 o'clock instead of at 7 o'clock. So in 2 weeks from now, you are, oh my God, you're going to be our listeners, so 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 2 weeks from now, we've got Lynn West as our feature this evening, and it's going to start nice and just when everybody wants to actually come out at 9 o'clock. So I don't know if she's going to be starting first or last or whatever, but from 9 to 11 in 2 weeks from now, we've got Lynn West as a feature. And guess what? 2 weeks after that, which is August 13th, I'm looking at my handy dandy ultra sultry sexy sidekick Bob Brashko, who has his own feature here. Give it up for Bob Brashko. And yeah, his is early because it's not the end of the month. And then, August 27th, which is toward the end of the month, so it would be starting at 9 o'clock, Esteban Colon is the feature. Yeah, exactly, that's what I'm saying. And then on September 10th, we've got 2 features. We've got Bob Flores, oh my God, Bob Flores was here, which is Triple Plus Awesome, and Bill Euro. Oh my gosh, they're both featuring then at the end of September 24th. I think that might be the last of the month, I'm not sure, but it's scheduled to be Buddha 309. We're going to see if we can pull that all off. If you want to know anything about the future schedule, you can always go to www.chaoticarts.org/thecafe. I have so much to say that I can't even keep my breath in. If you want to know anything about it, come bug me, Janet Kuipers, on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. You can find a way to get a hold of me and find out the schedule. And I really, really look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks for Lynn West featuring the open mic. Thank you, 9 o'clock.